This is Ventnor on the south coast of the Isle of Wight, and we're starting our walk today. We're going to be heading eastwards and towards Shanklin and Sandown. So we'll be getting our walk by following this promenade. Well, it's just around a mile along that seawall, and now we seem to have reached a place called Bonchurch Pottery in front of us. We'll continue along this lane. Well, in fact, just a few yards down there's a sign on the left taking us up the hillside, and almost immediately we come to our first diversion. Well, the diversion was quite ridiculous. It wasn't signposted, but the only possible path from where it was closed went round in a loop and took us right back to the starting place on the sea wall. So now we're following the lane up. Apparently we now have to follow the roads for quite some distance right up onto the high points. Well, we are travelling through an area called Bonchurch, and according to the poster I've just seen, one of its claims to fame is that Charles Dickens stayed here while he did some of his writing. This is starting to get very steep now as it climbs up the cliffs. Well, we've been following the lanes up from the coast path, and it's a mile and a half later now, 2.5 miles into the walk. It's been nothing but climbing, but here we have a sign which should take us back onto the coastal path. At least that's what the sign says on the right. Let's give it a try. Well, we've been following a number of paths, no signs at all on them, just generally following what feels to be the right way. We've come down a very steep set of steps from some sort of car park, and here we are. We picked up the coastal path signs again. We are now nearly just on 3 miles into our walk. A heartfelt message pinned to this log beside the track. Tom, I love you, come back. Go on, Tom, give it a try, mate. We've reached a gap in the hedgerow here, and we're now looking right across at Shanklin first and then Sandown further around, and you can just see the headland going right the way out there, which is what we're going to be following. At 5.25 miles, we've walked through the centre of Shanklin. I'm looking back now down at the beaches. Well, I've stayed on the higher path, the East Cliff Promenade. Let me show you the direction we're walking in. And here you can see the path leads up over the cliffs to Sandown. Well, this part of the walk between Shanklin and Sandown is along this rather nice path on the cliff tops. At least long may it last. Well, apart from that short diversion, we're back on the nice path leading us through to Sandown, and we've clocked up 6.2 miles from when we started in Ventnor. Well, this is the view from Sandown looking back to Shanklin, the way we've just been walking. We took the path on top of the cliffs, which gave us a good view, but there appears to be a walk along the bottom of the cliffs. That's an alternative you can use. Sandown has a pier. Well, that's 8 miles completed. We've passed through Sandown. We're on the other side now, and our next objective is up over those chalk cliffs out onto the end. Bembridge down. We're 9 3/4 miles now from Ventnor, and we're just looking back on the way we've come. Ventnor is actually around the other side of that headland, so that's the journey we've taken.
There's 3 trestle tables.
This is a memorial to Lord Yarborough. Charles Anderson Pelham, Earl of Yarborough, Baron Yarborough, and so forth. Well, from the top here there are some absolutely panoramic views around the next part of the coast. That must be Bembridge down there, and on round the corner towards Ryde. We're passing around this caravan park. Somebody's feeling a bit possessive, not going to share with the public. Now that's a much nicer sign. At the 11-mile mark, we are still following this path. The coast is below us on our right hand side, and on our left is mostly chalets and caravan parks. But it's quite nice. They're keeping us close to the sea. They've sent us inland now for a short distance along this residential road. At 12.5 miles we've got to Bembridge Pier, a very modern construction. But beyond that, across the water, you can see the buildings in Portsmouth. We're going to be continuing along the side of the sea here. What do you call a collection of beach huts? An exhibit in someone's front garden here, a Mark 14 mine. There's a section here where we're actually down on the beach. Not quite sure what happens when the tide's up, but the moment we're walking along the beach, and there's a sign coming up which takes us up to the left. The last mile or so have been pretty dull, marching along these sort of tracks with fences each side, sometimes houses each side. Not much to see. As we come into Bembridge, there's a large memorial on our right hand side. James Nelson Palmer, late rector of Yaverland, Isle of Wight, and a lot more beneath that. And this is the view at Bembridge, looking across at the harbour. A Alongside the road here we've got a whole series of houseboats moored up. This one looks rather like Noah's Ark. I'm sure the idea is very nice to live on one of these houseboats, but it's got the appearance of a bit of a shanty town, and as you probably heard, it's on a very busy main road. Well, we've had a dreary walk up a very busy main road. We've just crossed the river and the signs are taking us from Bembridge into St Helens. The path has now taken us a little way down the other side, and now we have to go across this causeway, across one of the other estuaries of the river. That's the causeway we're going to be following. Well, as we're part way across the causeway, I notice we've clocked up 15 miles from when we started in Ventnor. Well, at the 16-mile mark, the path is taking us into the Priory Bay Hotel grounds, and we're still climbing. We've been up through a couple of fields. This pine tree here is not a pine tree. It's actually a metal and fiberglass construction with radio aerials on top. Now, what exactly does that mean? We've come down now to Seagrove Bay. Nice sandy beach. Looking across the water there to Portsmouth. Very pleasant spot. Just over 17 miles and we've reached a place called Seaview. I'll just pan round. And we're heading down towards the sea again. You're looking right round to the end there to Ryde Pier. This is just looking back on the way we've just walked. Very pleasant flat walk along the frontier. We're at the 18.5-mile mark. This is Apley Beach, partially in the shade now because it's late afternoon. We're looking at Ryde Pier now, and the town centre is just at the end of the pier there. Looking out from Ryde and the beach here, we're looking across at Portsmouth in the afternoon, late afternoon sun, across the Solent. Well, we've just completed 19.5 miles. The last couple of miles have been a complete delight, flat along the front, and a really nice walk. There's a marina here. In the background you can probably see the pier. Well, that's the end of our walk. Just short of 20 miles walking Ventnor to Ryde. This is the hovercraft station. There's the pier. Down beneath it is the bus station. So that's it. It's been an excellent walk. There's been some wonderful spots. One or two bits where you needed some navigational help. And yeah, can recommend that walk. So that's just under 20 miles, Ventnor to Ryde. Till the next time.